Okay, so anyway, so yeah, so it is social media.
It's part of social media.
Mhm.
And if a person can't define who they are without the social media, then that's the kind of person I don't want to deal with, because now I'm dating 20 other people.
If it's only 20.
If it's only 20, maybe
They don't have a lot of followers, they don't follow a lot of people.
Passed away, you know, that was bashing women.
Kevin Samuels.
And bashing women and you know, just constantly, like every time I fight with my best friend, he be like, but he has a point.
No,
and I'm like, he has a very tacky point, and this is your issue with relationships because you're following him. And look at this man. He died, you know, on top of a prostitute, you know, in a rented apartment, but he's sitting up here giving all of this
advice,
on relationships.
And let me
everybody's following him to the moon.
So this is where I want to take our conversation of our topic a few weeks ago of self-concept.
right.
Okay, I want to take it back specifically to Kevin Samuels, because Kevin Samuels had this notion. Hi, that's Lawrence down there. So anyway, the self-concept, Kevin Samuels had this principle, this concept that if you wanted to be with a high value man,
attract a high value
man, okay, there were certain things that you needed to do. Now, this is the thing. The issue becomes, and I actually did a video about this. If you subscribe to Kevin Samuels' version of what a high value man was, the stuff he was saying you needed to listen to, because guess what? He was talking about a particular kind of man. Now, but that wasn't my definition of a high value man. But you see what I'm saying? And if you in your own self-concept and in your own self-esteem and in your own way didn't have your value of a high value man, then in fact, then what you needed to do, number one, was get one. You needed to determine what that is for yourself. But Kevin Samuels was talking about a man who has a lot of power, okay, powerful men. He was talking about men who are celebrities. He was talking about professional athletes, men with a lot of money. And his notion was that if that is the kind of man you're looking for, that kind of man is not going to take a lot of attitude. True. He's not going to be prone to dealing with women with children that are not his own. Why? Because he doesn't have a lot of time and he don't want to hear, I can't go out with you right now because I don't have no babysitter. That was also true. He's going to want a woman of a particular kind of way. Now, guess what? All of that's true for that kind of man, but that's not the only version of a high value man. You see what I'm saying? And if that's what you were looking for, then you needed to follow his advice. If it wasn't what you're looking for, then there's something different. Because for me, those things, that kind of man is not necessarily what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for the man that everybody else is looking for, or that particular man. I want a man that has a certain values for me, meaning that there are certain things for me that are really important. One is quality time. That's my love language. I wouldn't give a damn how much money you have. If you can't spend no time with me, listen to me. Okay. If you can.
That's it.
What do you say? What do you say? What do you say? What do you say?
Mike is here.
Mike is here.
As I was saying, I also and I owe him a quarter too. Yeah. But anyway, and it's gone. They threw it away when I wasn't here. We got to bring a new one. But again, so the notion again. So there's certain things. There's one principle, for example, honesty to me. Even if it hurts, even if you think it's going to hurt my feelings, and I'm not gonna receive well what you say, be honest with me anyway. Why? Because sometimes I feel like a nut and sometimes I don't. The one thing you think today that may offend me, I may be okay with that today. Tomorrow, and the thing that you think I'm going to be okay with, I'm not okay with. But the one thing that's important to me is that you give me the choice. Yes, sometimes it hurts. Sometimes the truth hurts. Sometimes the truth is as it stings, right? It's not pretty, but guess what? I would rather deal with that. Now, listen, I'm speaking for me. We got different women in here right now. Okay, and they may all have a different opinion about what they want in a man. So again, my point was with relationship to Kevin Samuels, if you were subscribing to his version of what a high value man was, that was something different. What you want to say? Come on.
So one of my friends, I heard her talking about her relationship one day, and I don't usually get in people's stuff unless they're talking to me. She wasn't talking to me, but I heard her talking. And I said, whoever that man is, you need to stop talking to him. And it was her boyfriend who followed that guy. And she told me to listen to it one day. And so he told her, after listening to Kevin's, what is his name?
Samuels.
We need to redefine our relationship. Now they've been dealing with each other. So, I mean, he told her that. I said, but he was dogging the heck out of her.
Yeah, but he was living on those principles.
Yeah, he was.
Understanding, but the problem that I have is exactly what he was talking about. I don't necessarily, I'm not totally offended by Kevin Samuels' view. What I'm offended by is the fact that his facade, he didn't even live up to his facade.
Right.
He's talking about these wealthy men who have established themselves and have all of this going for themselves. And here it is, you know, you had to be a certain weight, or a certain height. And I let me back up and not disrespect the woman that he was with that night, but the woman that he was with that night was fat.
Okay.
And she was a nurse by trade, and she couldn't even save his life. So what he was giving to them was, you know, you had to be
5'9", 5 whatever. He had a perfect size. It was only 5'9".
105 pounds.
Yeah, that.
You know, so on and so forth. So my problem with it is your problem. He was giving them an absolute facade that he himself didn't even live up to. And in his death, he died by his own hands, by the message that he was sending out, because he was there with a woman he picked up in a bar who literally could not save his life, you know, who killed him.
And the thing of it is too, is that we never knew how much was in his damn bank account either. You see what I'm saying? We never knew whether he was actually, you see what I'm saying? So, but guess what? But I'm gonna say this too. And I'm gonna say this too, is that you can get good information from a crazy person, right? So again, for that woman out there that wanted to try to be with the kind of man that Kevin Samuels was talking about, you might want to listen to what he was saying. I'm just suggesting that's not the only kind of high value man. That's not those, his criteria was not the only criteria that made him a high value man. And if you have a self-concept, I see two hands up behind me. Hold on. I got to go back there. I see two hands up. If you are the kind of person that believes, again, what you hear on social media, if you don't have your own constitution, your own set of values, your own thing that validates you from within, you will wind up in a situation that you will lose your mind, because if you don't know which way you're going, there's too many people out there willing to tell you. And I saw two hands in the back.
So as far as Tony's saying about facade, so the young girls are following the advice of, it's Cardi B is her name? And what's the other one?
Megan
Thee Stallion.
Yeah, those young rapper girls. And somebody was telling me that they say to them, they have money, they have men with money. You can't like follow what they're saying to be like they are. Because we live in a whole different place.
The whole different world, different area
I
code.
want y'all to keep that for here.
All right.
What I was just saying is I wanted them to make their comments on camera so everybody can hear it.
Yeah.
So what were you saying?
My thing is this: if I know who I am, I'm the highest caliber person that I know.
Right.
Like I told you, brothers, get to know who you are when you first come home, and then get to know the woman that you want to be with and know what caliber woman. If you're looking for a Christian woman, don't go to the bar thinking you're gonna find it. go to the church house. If you want that woman that's on the salad diet, the salad out. If you want that woman that's you and this is me. You have to, my eye is I'm always honest. And I tell a woman what I'm looking for in the beginning. I don't want nobody ever say that I lied to them about, I want this kind of woman, that kind of woman. No, that's not what I'm looking for. I don't need her to have a bank account of $1 million. If she got a job and I got a job, we rub 2 nickels together and buy ourselves a soda and we can share with 1 straw, 2 straws, that makes me happy. That makes me happy. I'm not looking for the expensive. I can do my own expensive. I take my own self out to dinner and have the best dinner in the world because I ain't got to worry about somebody else talking about they don't like it. I enjoy it. But the best dates I ever been on never cost a dime.
Mm-hmm.
And the best conversation I had never cost a dime.
And that is typically, again, for me, I said to you guys earlier, my quality time is my love language. If it doesn't matter how many gifts, it doesn't matter what you have. It doesn't even matter necessarily what you look like. Although I like them, the bigger, the darker, and the uglier, as people call them, is actually my favorite. But
That's my boo bear.
Oh my God, yes. Okay, but that's beside the point because guess what? You can be extremely attractive, thin and small. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But if you can be honest with me and spend quality time with me and those things and respect me and allow me and tell me the truth and just be, then you got you. And I'm looking, because like James, I don't need nobody to take care of me financially. I could take care of myself. But I do want somebody to take care of my heart.
But in a relationship, you gotta let me be me.
Yeah.
Let me be me, so you can know me. You be you.
Yeah.
Nobody else, so I can know you.
Yeah. And then also it's important to let me be me so that you know whether or not you want to hang out with me or not. Because one of the things that's typical is that people get in a relationship and they let the other person meet their representative.
Right.
They let the person meet the person that they want them to think that they are. Mm-hmm. That's the difference in the self-concept between what you want it to be and what you actually are. And then there's that gap in between, which is what people need to be working on, right? So people will show them the representative, but the one thing about the representative is it can't hold for long. If it's not really that person up underneath it there, then you're not ever going to get to, you're never going to have a good solid foundation because it's built on a lie. It's built on a concept of who somebody wants to be. And listen, none of us are all of what we aspire to be, because that would be perfection for all of us, right? And nobody's perfect. Everybody's got flaws. Everybody's boo-boo smells. It just is what it is, right? I will tell you this, as long as we all have on a physical body, we can be guaranteed that we are going to disappoint somebody in our lives. Everybody is going to disappoint a loved one at some point in their lives. That's just a fact. More than one, right?
And you disappoint yourself too. As you're human, you're gonna disappoint yourself. As as me, for myself, I put my own self up. Mm-hmm. I build my own self, put my own self on pedestal. With certain things I say I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. But a lot of times I don't get a chance to do it. Mm-hmm. So I disappoint myself. Mm-hmm. But that don't mean for me to be mean and ugly to myself. But that's what real life is. And it goes back to another conversation about the masking that we've held, right? People put on this mask, and if you're on social media and you're looking at people like Cardi B and Nicki Minaj and Megan Thee Stallion and all of these kind of people, the Kardashians, they don't even look like what they have you believing they look like. They have professionals. What you see of them they're professionally made up. They have professional lighting. Some of them have lights on their phones and right.
It's like surgery.
Yeah.
It's not even a makeup. Not one Kardashian. Not even Cardi B. Anything like they look 10 years ago.
Right.
No.
And they don't. And this is why it's such a problem for them to now start trying to get you to live up to what they think their guys are living up to. Because guess what? They start telling you, well, what are you asking them what you think the relationship, and they're telling you something they heard from those people. They're only giving you what they think their relationships look like. Because unless you're in their homes, unless you're involved in their relationship, you don't even know.
What I trip off of is this. You have all these people that's supposed to be so well off, no problems, so perfect. But one thing they can't do, hold a relationship. They can't hold a conversation if it's not an interview.
Mm-hmm.
And they want all of their interviews, the questions, they gotta have them beforehand.
Uh-huh.
So they can screen out what they want to say and what they don't want to say. So if I'm dating this made up person, when the lights go out, who am I sleeping with?
Well, and it's one of the things that I have always tried to encourage women is, I don't care who you are, you got to have something more than sex
To bring to the table.
Yeah.
to bring to the table. Sex may get a man to the table, may even get him in your bed, but it's not going to keep him. It's not ever going to keep him. There are too many far prettier women who are willing to have sex just like you. So that's just not ever going to be it. But what has to happen is, as people, we have to decide who we are. And it's really important to spend our focus on us. The most growth I ever achieved was when I started to look at me in the mirror. When I started to look at what I participated in relationships and what I thought about myself that made me participate in those relationships. So my situation, I've talked to you guys about this before. This man monopolized my time, but he told me straight up, I don't want to be in a relationship. I'm not looking for a girlfriend. Well, I wanted him as more than a friend or somebody who would come in and out of my life. But I thought that it was always my job, based on my relationship with my dad, it was always my job to do all the work in the relationship, or the relationship would fail, or the person would go away. Well, guess what? If he went away, so what? So what? If I wasn't getting what I needed out of the relationship or what I wanted out of the relationship, then I was supposed to move on. I was not supposed to give him access to all of my gifts, my talents, my time, my attention, and let him monopolize my life. And I wasn't getting what I wanted. What it was is I didn't have enough value in myself. Some of and I want to bring this to the forefront too. When we watch people, oftentimes, and we talked about it briefly last week about being in a prison of our own making, right? Some of us create scenarios in our minds that we say, this is my life, this is the way it is, it's never going to get any better, or whatever. And we keep living there, never giving ourselves an opportunity to live a different life. But that is, and then I'll use an example that a guy in my Bible study class used years ago that really brought this home for me. He said, people don't realize it. They would think a person who says, oh, I'm so pretty, look at me, look how pretty I look today. And they're boastful and they're egotistical. And a person who says, oh no, when you compliment them, they go, oh, this old thing, no, I don't look good. No, I'm this and that. That is that they're being humble. And it's not true. The reality is the person is saying, oh no, this old thing or whatever, they're looking for you to give them more compliments. They're and they need that feeding. They need that feeding because it feeds the narrative, but they're getting a payoff from playing the victim or playing low and the attention because it brings more attention. But the reality is that it's equally as egotistical on either side. So there's something in the middle where, again, but people don't realize they're putting themselves in prisons on the extremes, right? I'm a victim all the time. we look at Donald Trump, if every word out of that man's mouth, he's a victim. He was born in privilege, His father gave him $1 million to start his first business, but he was poor and this and that. No, poor on him, no.
How you poor and not to catch you short, but that's something that never resonated with me as fully was your father is a slumlord on all these buildings. How you poor and your daddy put $1 million up under you because he was hiding money. It wasn't just giving him money, he was hiding money.
And he bailed him out every time he failed at something. He papered over it. You know, the difference is, but again, and that's the truth. But it's just a prime example of how people they think that if I'm boastful, that I'm not egotistical or narcissistic. But on the other hand, if I'm always the victim and I'm always playing victim, that is as narcissistic as the other side of that extreme, right? So again, we put ourselves in these prisons psychologically because we get a payoff from it. We get a payoff. We get attention, we get sympathy, we get whatever it is that we get from it. And we put ourselves there and we stay there. I want to open it up because nobody on Zoom has had anything to say. Talk to me, people. Talk to me.
Let me chime in real quick.
Sure.
Okay, well, first of all, TikTok and social media, like all kinds of different things. TikTok is ran by like the Chinese, and they mess with our algorithms. They give us the crap. And over there in their country, they get to learn all kinds of things and how to do stuff, intelligent stuff, but then they cut them off at a certain time for their children. They cut them off in the media because they have that control. And they send us all the crap. Now, stuff like YouTube has some interesting, real good stuff that you can learn. And then like me, you know that I do a post, and I hate to say it, but I don't hate to say it. I try to tell everybody to treat everybody with unconditional love and human kindness all the time. Treat everybody the way you want to be treated, and enjoy life, and respect the people that are essential in this world for whatever they may do. Maybe a fireman, a policeman, our service people, all these things. You know, I try to bring it back to these people and understand who they are, to respect that woman, because if we didn't have women, we wouldn't have no inventors. We wouldn't have nothing, right? You know, wisdom is women. And then the other thing besides all that, I just did a post on Thanksgiving, and me being Native American, of course, there was a massacre and this and that, but forget that, it's the past. I said, we all have to be together because we're all brothers and sisters and the same people. And just 2 days ago, okay, I got like over 1,700 likes on this thing, right? And I'm not expecting anything. I don't do it for me. I do it for Creator, God. I do it for Him. And it made me feel so good that people came back to me and said, thank you. I needed that today. I needed that blessing, you know, and that made me feel good, because when I got out of prison and the things that I was doing through the sweat lodge and stuff like that, and doing stuff with the Christian people and everybody, we're all involved religiously, spiritually, and whatever. And my thing was a commitment. I had to do what I was learning, what I did, and I brought it back with me. So I always teaching things. Not too long ago, I found out like 6 of my very best friends were all dead, right? I got in contact with them. And I felt that in me, right? But see, the thing is, I pray to them all the time too, that they're okay, that they're watching me. Because, you know, when people leave, they don't actually leave. They're like our guardian angels. Those people that are tight in your life, because anytime you may think of somebody or see somebody that reminds you of somebody, you'll go like, man, that looked like my uncle, or that my sister or my brother or whatever. And you're going like, it's because it's a constant reminder to show you that you are loved. I mean, if you don't think that you're loved, and you think that, you know, God doesn't care for you, well, look what you have on your back. Look what you got that day. You could be a homeless person, and God forbid it, but if you got a sandwich out of the trash, you got something, you know? I mean, I was walking with one guy, and he's going like, man, I'm hungry. And, you know, it was over at that festival, and there was food on the ground. I said, well, look, at ask and you shall receive. I said, do you want it, or do you want to be biased about it? Mm-hmm. But, you know, of course he didn't get it because it was on the ground. But I mean, I said, look, the birds would get it. Anything else would get it. But I mean, I try to stress that point because there is a lot of nonsense on the phone. But if you waste your time, because okay, like the millennials and people like that, the kids want everything fast.
Yeah, the microwave generation.
And as a joke, I told somebody, I said, you know how everybody likes to get ownership on something that's already been made? I want ownership on the word wait. Anytime that somebody, give me a penny, and you know what, we could feed the world with all those pennies, because anytime someone uses, hey, you gotta wait, or you're gonna wait, oh, I own that, you know? But you know what? It's okay, we have to wait for everything, and it will all come, good things come, you know?
Well, you
and
know
then
what, I've been over the past few years concentrating very heavily on being patient and allowing Yahweh's timing to step in. Like, even if he tells me to do something, to make sure that I'm in line with his timing, and then also not being stressed out when things don't go according to the time frame that I set. And that is for so even in the context of this conversation about relationships. So I have my girlfriend's daughter. She's got to be 40, either 40 or 41. And she's not married. She doesn't have any children. But she for the past 6 months, she's been dating a guy. And I have this daily devotional book, and I just open it, and wherever the page opens, I read for that day. And I read, it happened to be her birthday, and it talked about waiting on his timing. And then when I ran into her and she was telling me, yo, look, I'm dating this guy and things are going really well, and how it all came about. It's like, okay, so maybe your sisters, got married and had kids young and, early or whatever, but maybe this is the timing, the perfect timing for the right man and the right relationship for you at this stage in your life. So there's a thing about understanding that everything isn't necessarily in our timing, particularly when it comes to relationships, and to be very careful about trying to push, because I was insistent in the most painful relationship I was in that this was the relationship for me and this was it right now. And this was the guy I was going to be with. And it almost cost me my sanity. Okay. Because I was trying to force something that wasn't actually meant to be at that time. I want to give anybody else want to chime in while we're on it.
Yes, Ms. Noreen Willie, I understood what you said when you talked about when people give you a compliment about maybe the way you dress, maybe the way you speak, maybe the way you're just walking. And several times I put on a few things. I dress like an old man. I want to look nice when I go outside. And young women was giving me compliments. They were saying, man, you look nice. You're matching. You look really good. So I said, well, thank you. And one young lady walked up to me and said, I never seen no one put on clothing and look the way you look. She said, why you do that? I told her I'm trying to catch me a wife. We both started laughing. That was the funniest thing. And yeah, I really understood what you said about when someone gives you a compliment and what is the value of that compliment.
Yes, because it's important to receive it, even no matter what the circumstance. But a lot of people, like I say, they get in the habit of deflecting it or pushing it aside or saying, oh no, but really what they're saying is, tell me more, give me more compliments. And that's as egotistical as saying I'm the shit all the time. You know what I mean? It's the same egotistical thing. And we have to give ourselves, there's always extremes are never good, right? Extremes, no matter what it is, normally are not good. Whether weight gain, weight loss, it don't matter what it is. Extremes are never usually where we want to be. You want to be somewhere in the middle. There's room to grow in either direction. And then there's moderation. And so I'm glad that you brought up the topic today, though, about social media, and people trying to live, because guess what? It doesn't even have to be on social media. It can be as simple as the people in your immediate circle, your immediate family, trying to live up to their version or their ideal of you. When people coming home from incarceration, you guys have often heard me tell people will have expectations of you.
Mhm.
What you need to focus on is your own expectations. Set them, first of all, identify who you are, know yourself, know what you want, focus on that, and let those expectations guide you. It's not that you don't have or that you should just ignore the people that are close to you. But if you allow yourself to be guided in everything you do, your attitude is going to be good or bad based on whether you meet the expectations of everybody that's in your circle. You're going to be miserable. First of all, again, as I said earlier, we're all going to disappoint somebody. We're all going to disappoint somebody along the way. But when you start trying to live up to other people's expectations, and listen, it's okay if you have the same expectation for yourself. But like Diane said earlier, you're going to even disappoint yourself somewhere along the way because we don't live up to all, we're not going to meet every goal. We're not, but in every timeline, we're not ever going to be perfect. We're human. We may inadvertently hurt somebody's feelings or whatever, but guess what? Own it. Own it. And we got to know ourselves enough to be able to communicate to other people what we want, what's important to us. If you don't know yourself, what your values are, what you stand for, what you want, where you want to be in 5 years, say, or whatever, then you need to never worry about what somebody else is going through and start worrying about yourself. Focus on you so that you can determine where you're going and at a minimum, be able to tell somebody where you want to go so maybe they can help you get there.
Well,
Because you can't even, if you don't know yourself, you can't explain it to nobody and nobody can help you because you're like electricity without a source or a place, a destination. Right, exactly. You know, so I'm going to give Mr. Terry, I want you to go ahead and talk to me. Anything you got out of tonight?
Well,
Oh,
Noreen, you guys pretty much covered quite a bit of stuff. But if you're getting in a relationship with a fine woman or a woman older or younger, you both have to have some type of common ground. You got to make sure that she wants what she wants and you got what you want, what you want. She's got to have her own mind. The woman I always did, my wife, she spoke up. If I said something and she didn't like it, she told me. And I tell her, I said, look, we go to a restaurant or something to eat. I said, order what you want. Don't ask me to order for you because I don't know what you like. And I order a hamburger or order a fries. And she said, that's what you get at McDonald's. I said, that's fine. I sure something like that. I ain't got no worries of paying for it. And she'd pay for my dinner or I'd pay for her dinner. That's how you got to have a relationship. It's a one-on-one relationship, and you got to be peaceful and understanding what she wants and what you want. And
absolutely.
you got to be
Thank you.
considerate and loving and respectful to that person.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm going to ask Billy. Anything you going to take away from tonight? Any comments?
Well, it's like, okay, we're saying, you gotta know what each person wants. As long as it's whatever each person wants, as long as it doesn't interfere with what the other person. If I want one thing and she wants something else and it brings in a conflict, then you gotta sit down and be able to talk about it and
That's where compromise is, right?
compromise.
That's
Yeah,
a fact. Thank
That's
you.
another good. So yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Carlos.
Well, I always say communication, that's the key. One thing my mom showed me is that you gotta keep your wife happy. Whatever she wants, that's what she's gonna get. As far as looks,
Smart woman, look.
yeah. As far as looks, I like big girls, so if she wants to eat, she could eat. You know what I mean? I don't
That's
mind.
right. You know what? Listen, my mother used to say, don't nobody want a bone but a dog and he gonna bury it. Okay, so for all them, so for all the people out there making them think that, oh, it's the skinny girls. The average man doesn't like a really skinny woman. That's the truth of the matter. Now there's a difference between, and there are ranges of that, right? It's levels to this, okay? But yeah, I heard that. My mother used to say it though all the time. Don't nobody want a bone but a dog. I appreciate that. Ram, any final comments from you?
Well, like I said, just treat everybody the way you want to be treated, And then, I mean, God has somebody for everybody. I mean, and when it's your time, I mean, like I always revert to this. Look at Job.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Job went through some hell, and he gave God his hell back. And then he was fruitful. I mean, he was an old man, and he had children and things like that. There's no limit to what kind of love you can have in your life. Love is going to always be there, no matter what. And sometimes you don't have to have anybody. You could go out and have fun with somebody. And the sex thing is just a whole other thing. I mean,
right, that's a topic for another day, right?
Yeah. It's I mean, it's variety is the spice of life and things like that. I mean, but and then like I've told you before, you're not done till you both had your cookies, like a Chinese dinner. But but that's a whole other thing. But
I'm not playing with you tonight. I'm not playing with you, Mr. Stephens. I'm gonna give you a chance to have your final thoughts, Mr. Stephens. Can't hear you.
Yes, I got you now. Yeah, I really enjoyed the topic when you bring back concept of self, because it makes me stop and think, am I being the best I can be, or is there more to me? Mm-hmm. And it's growth, and I do appreciate the topic.
Awesome. Mr. Floyd.
Hello, Mr. O'Ville.
Hi, Mr. O'Ville. You kind of on the late break, baby, but wait, we closing out right now. But Mr. Floyd, go ahead. Any comments about the topic?
Not too many comments, because I kind of came late and I got there halfway through. Probably you guys were already talking. I'm of the opinion that when men and women,
for some reason we can't hardly hear you, baby. Now I can't hear you at all.
Hear me?
Okay, speak up.
Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, but barely, but go ahead.
Yeah, I leave those conversations alone. When men and women get together and start conversing about relationships, I say it's a timeout for me. I happen to be of the opinion that men need to have some conversations prior to being in a group with a group of women and having conversations with women. Just my take on it. I need to book. If I sit down with a group of dudes, I need y'all to come to the table. I need y'all to come 100%. I need this to be honest. I need this to be open, and I need to know that that's what we're finna do before we have this conversation. So I'm always of the opinion when it comes to relationship issues between men and women that I need to talk to my boys first, and then we can converse with women.
Let me just tell you this. That's some living. Let me just tell you that's some living in the penitentiary with a bunch of men shit right there, Lawrence. I'm gonna tell you here. Because listen, let me tell you something. But let me tell you this. And you can have that. We're gonna let you have that tonight. We're gonna let you have it. We're gonna have to break that down a little bit further one day, boo. And for sure. Okay.
Hey, he wants to start a riot. He wants to start a riot.
Conversation.
He did what?
Start a riot. Every time.
Start a riot. Okay.
Every time.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, just like the last one, you wasn't here. Me and him was here. Yeah, we almost started a riot that day.
Okay.
Remember that, Carlos? Remember that? Tonight's conversation once again was an eye-opener for me, because I like to hear everybody, and I like to hear myself with the things that are going on in my head. But I appreciate it from everyone.
Awesome, sir.
That is now. Who is that? Who is that?
You know him. You seen him before. You remember him?
We ain't seen him in a year.
I know. Remember him?
I don't know. The one I know looked like he had lost some weight or something.
Remember him?
Yeah, I remember him. I remember that stranger.
That's your boy. That's your friend.
I don't necessarily have any views about it, because when I look at myself, I think that
I think it's a constant search. I think it's a constant search of what you think you want. Because I think that changes and shifts over time. So and I'm hearing y'all talk about Kevin Samuels and how he lived compared to how he spoke. And you know, I found it somewhat interesting because I looked at it like he was just filling a niche. You know, that's society's fault for listening to him.
I agree.
That ain't his fault. That's like, listen, that's like if I'm selling drugs, ain't nobody forcing you to come buy this dope. Nobody forced you to come buy this dope. So that's society's fault. I can't fault Kevin Samuels or any male or female that chooses to espouse views that they simply do not live to.
Well, I felt like, and I always felt like, I can't imagine who the woman is that's going to call him in the first place to ask him for advice for what. Like, and if you calling him and asking him for advice, you know who you talking to. So why are your feelings hurt when he is who he is? I always found that the most amazing thing. How your feelings going to be hurt and you crying and carrying on when you know who you was calling when you called him. And like you say, it's society's fault because guess what? He got paid whatever he got paid. Advertisers paid for his videos and stuff like that because there were too many people out there listening. So I agree with you. It definitely was society. Ma'am, any final closing thoughts from you?
Always, I will say, when you come home from incarceration, you really shouldn't get in a relationship until you get to know who you are and what you like. And when Hollis was saying that it shifts, of course it's going to shift because as you begin to know who you are, then you'll know what you're going to accept and what you're not going to accept from people. And people come out, you get in relationships and you accept anything. I got in a relationship and it's the worst thing ever happened to me. And I didn't even know myself yet. I used to cry a lot and stuff. And the person is a bum. Today.
They call the baby a bum.
And then, no, for me, it's like, it's like not for my caliber. And I'm not saying I'm no high and mighty, but
Yes,
I
you
was
are.
worth more.
Yes, you are.
I was worth more than I was giving to a person that,
was above.
that was, I could look at them like, and bum is just a word I
know.
use, but it's like, why wasn't, but that's because we want to be touched when we come home. We haven't been touched in so long and we want to be touched. So you just go in the first person, because I kid you not, the guy said to me, I wanted to be the first one to get it after 17 and a half years and stuff. And I mean, I was like,
Sounded good to you, huh?
it sounded like, oh my God. Yeah.
She went to the, oh my God.
So
Yeah, and there was a bunch of nonsense.
yeah, it was
And
a
then,
whole bunch
and you
of
know, but
nonsense.
one of the things you said that's really important is that of course things are going to shift because your priorities will shift as you begin to identify who you are and what's going on in the course of your development and I would say your research into yourself. The more time you spend with yourself, today, when you first come home, it may be as simple as I need to get my ID and all that kind of stuff. It may be simple stuff like that, right? And it may be I just need to be touched. But then it becomes I need some substance. I need somebody with some substance. I need somebody that that has a spiritual foundation. It could be any number of things, but those things will shift, like you say. And I say I agree with you about waiting for a while because it's more detrimental sometimes. You do more harm taking somebody on a journey you're not familiar with or you don't know where it's going.
That's how come men need to have a conversation amongst themselves first so they can hear that from another man. What they need to do before they try to jump in a relationship, they need to slow down first and see another man will respect another man saying, wait. You know, it's better if you wait. It's better if you get to know yourself. It's better if you find out what you want out of life and what you want from a partner before you just jump into something. Because what I'm not going to necessarily do when I first get out is come sit in the room with a group of women and say any of that.
Well, sure, but this is a group of people who've been out for a while, right? And we come here and we have both perspectives at the table. So I don't want you just to not share your perspective, because there's somebody that's listening that needs your perspective. And when you say what you say, as a man, they will receive it from you versus receiving it necessarily, because basically you and Cheryl agree, right? And your belief that a man will receive it. Well, you saying that we just accomplished that. So they heard it from a man and a woman. Now, hopefully that will cause them to believe in it that much even more. Okay. So we're gonna work on it, but go ahead. What you gonna say?
So I'd like to say one night, because we have conversations afterwards, and one night James said, I wish women were like you guys, because we listen and we understand, but that's because we did time. And we understand what it's like. No, it's you, because you've heard.
Oh, yeah.
And you understand. But we understand that, and it's like the stuff, and I don't want to say about the sex part, but if we understand that. But your woman you coming home to that don't know you've been jacking off for years, she is gonna think something wrong. I think you was doing something in prison and stuff. But I mean, they gotta come and listen and say, hear what happens. Tony listen, and Tony be like, oh, okay, I understand this. Di says, I understand this now because we lived in there.
And also, that's again why we do this. We do it for not just those that were incarcerated, but we also do it for loved ones so that they might gain some insight, because and maybe it would help some relationships to survive, because they now have a better insight into what's going on in other people's minds. I want to give you, Ms. Opportunity, any final comments?
I appreciate everyone's perspective and the opportunity to be here.
Wonderful. Ms. Roberta?
I always
Hey, wait, you would think she know what's coming. Wait, we done went through 10, 15 people. You would think she know what's coming by now. Look, you would think, you know. We got you, baby. We got you. It's all right, love. It's all right, Suge.
I just want to say ditto to Cheryl and
Lawrence.
no.
Oh, no.
No, not tonight, not Lawrence. With comments only because so I agree, because Cheryl, I got into a thing too, and I had finally got dated. Like I had got dated when I came home. It was a real date, real stuff. So he moved me that whole time, but then it did shift, because then I realized, like, I'm a whole woman. I'm so bomb, and I started, and then my voice, and so then now it became complicated.
Okay.
It did. It became complicated, and it's not good anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now things have shifted because you have adjusted. She said, "Oh yeah." She said, "Oh yeah, it shift. Oh yeah, it shift." Right. That's wonderful, sir.
Yeah. I just say, man, just first of all, again, find out who you are. The next thing is teach a person how to treat you by the way you treat yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Woo-hoo.
I don't have to tell. See, and this is real quick. A man never have to tell a woman that I'm a man. You're gonna respect me because I'm a man.
He shouldn't.
I always sit back and I let them be who they are, and I determine, is this the kind of woman that I want sitting across from me at my dinner table? Because my mother said the most intimate thing is a man and a woman's feet under a table and not in a bed.
Interesting. I love that.
Always conversations said at the dinner table that don't get said in the bedroom.
Right. Yeah.
So my mother is always, her and my grandmother, I get them kudos, because they taught this young man in my 50s how to, what you say, chivalry? They taught me chivalry, how to open up doors, how to respect a woman because I respect myself, how to stand on my own 2 feet and have my own bank account. She has hers. You don't count my zeros, I don't count yours. I don't count your bills, you don't count mine. And if I buy you a gift, it's out of my heart.
Right. Not because you suckered me.
Today, like today, I walked up to a woman and I gave her $20
Uh-huh.
out of kindness of my heart.
Uh-huh.
Because I feel like maybe that brightened her day that day.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah.
I do stuff out of the kindness of my heart. If I can't afford to do it,
Don't do it.
I'm not gonna do it.
Right.
But what I want you brothers to figure out is what is your worth of you, and then what's that woman worth?
Mm-hmm.
Same woman that you want to date, what is her worth? Because you have to respect her as well as respect yourself. And y'all have a good night. Thank you.
I love that. You know, one of the reasons that I absolutely love checkout is because some of the most amazing things come during that period of time. And what he just said is, and I want everybody quiet just for a minute, okay? So that it's not distracting for people listening on the other end, okay? But let me say this, and that's this, that one of the things he said that is really important, and that is a man should never have to express to a woman or tell a woman, I'm a man. His behavior should show you that he's a man. And it doesn't mean being the boss. It doesn't mean being bullying. It doesn't mean any of those things. If he's a man, a woman is going to know it. And I want you to understand this too. Strong women, independent women, we will all bow down to a man. To a man, to a real man, okay? Now, we're not coming on some bullshit, okay? We're not doing that. I ain't gonna be able to do it, okay? Because I take care of my own shit. But I will gladly defer position to a real man any day of the week and twice on Sundays. Okay, so that's what I'm taking away from tonight. I enjoyed it. I want you guys to come back with us next week. Free to Heal. We here every Tuesday. We getting it in. I wish all of y'all was here for the after conversation, because this one it get real good. Okay, it get real good. So when y'all can come on in the building, we appreciate you guys. We'll see y'all next week. Check us out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, anywhere you want to leave us comments. If it's a topic you want us to have, let us know. We'll see you guys next week. Bye. Bye-bye, y'all.
Bye.
See y'all.
Bye.
Like we prepping for you, baby.
Have a good Christmas.
See y'all next week.
Bye-bye.
See y'all next week, baby. Bye.
Bye-bye.